In a future where humanity's reach had extended from the familiar embrace of Earth to the sprawling habitats circling distant planets, there existed a mystery that whispered from the farthest fringes of space. Beyond the glittering lights of bustling colonies and vibrant orbital cities, the Kuiper Belt lay like an ancient, uncharted archive, a repository of secrets waiting to be deciphered. Dr. Eliana Cross sat alone in her laboratory aboard a research station orbiting Mars. The room was bathed in the soft glow of holographic displays, each one pulsing with streams of data that painted the vastness of the cosmos in shifting colors and cryptic symbols. Here, in the silence of space, the ordinary clamor of everyday life gave way to the subtle, mesmerizing cadence of distant signals, a language hidden within the static of the universe. As Eliana meticulously sifted through the intercepted transmissions, a peculiar pattern emerged. It was a rhythm of light and sound that defied the randomness of space. Every flicker, every modulation seemed imbued with a deliberate intention. The signals called to her, as if from an era long past, carrying hints of forgotten voyages and lost legacies. They were not merely echoes of distant events, but the very heartbeat of an ancient truth waiting to be uncovered. Gazing out through the station's reinforced windows, Eliana beheld the sprawling darkness dotted with countless stars, each one a silent witness to the mysteries that lay beyond. The vast void was both daunting and inviting, a canvas where the past and the future converged in a timeless dance. The signals, delicate yet insistent, resonated with a power that stirred something deep within her soul. In that charged moment, the lab transformed into a crucible of possibility. Eliana's mind raced with visions of distant worlds and hidden histories. The data before her was more than mere information. It was an invitation to embark on a journey into the unknown, a quest to unlock the secrets of a lost Armada and the enigmatic messages woven into the fabric of space. Every pulse of light, every fragment of sound, was a clue leading her deeper into a cosmic enigma that challenged the very limits of human understanding. Determined and undaunted, Dr. Cross gathered her notes and prepared to trace the elusive signal to its source. With each calculated step, she was ready to venture further into the heart of mystery, a journey that promised not only to reveal ancient truths, but also to reshape the destiny of humanity. Amid the silent grandeur of space, where every shadow and starlight told a story, Eliana Cross took her first decisive step into a realm of wonder and peril, where the echoes of the past would guide her towards an unimaginable future. Deep within the labyrinthine corridors of her laboratory, Dr. Eliana Cross immersed herself in a relentless pursuit of understanding. The intercepted transmissions had grown more frequent and insistent, their cadence evolving into a complex tapestry of light and sound that defied conventional explanation. Every anomaly was a brushstroke on a cosmic canvas, a message whispered across the void, urging her to decipher its hidden meaning. Eliana's fingers danced over the holographic interface, isolating frequencies and magnifying subtle modulations. The signals spoke in riddles, their patterns hinting at ancient warnings and long-forgotten glories. As she overlaid one sequence upon another, a chilling motif emerged, a rhythmic refrain that repeated with an almost deliberate insistence. It was as if the cosmos itself was echoing a cautionary tale, a narrative of hubris, decay, and rebirth. In one particularly arresting sequence, a series of rapid pulses gave way to a sudden, elongated pause, a breath held in the silent space between notes. Eliana leaned closer, her eyes reflecting the undulating waves of data. "This isn't random noise," she murmured to herself, her voice barely audible over the hum of machinery. "It's a message from an intelligence that spans time." The thought sent shivers down her spine, a mix of trepidation and exhilaration that she had rarely felt. Outside her lab, the universe seemed to conspire with her discovery. Across interplanetary networks, similar transmissions had ignited fervent debates among scientists, diplomats, and military strategists. High-level meetings on orbital command centers buzzed with urgency. In those closed, tension-filled rooms, voices rose and fell in heated exchanges, some urging caution and scientific inquiry, others demanding immediate defensive action. The cryptic signals had become a catalyst, exposing the raw nerve of humanity's fragile unity. In a secure communication channel, Eliana engaged in a rare dialogue with a fellow scientist stationed on an orbital habitat. The patterns here suggest an underlying structure, she explained, her tone a mix of wonder and concern. It's almost like a cosmic blueprint, or perhaps a coded archive of a civilization long past. Her colleague, equally intrigued, replied, "If that's true, it could redefine everything we think we know about our origins. But it also raises a question. What if these are not mere relics, but warnings for the future?" The conversation lingered in the air like a shared secret, each word resonating with the gravity of possibility. As the signals continued their persistent cadence, the laboratory transformed into a sanctuary of revelation, a place where science and myth converged. Every byte of data, every fleeting pulse, deepened the mystery, hinting at an awakening force hidden in the dark recesses of space. In that charged atmosphere, the weight of responsibility settled upon Eliana. With each new discovery, the realization grew ever clearer. These signals were not simply echoes of the past, but harbingers of a future yet to be written. A future where the boundaries of human achievement and the unknown would collide in a cataclysmic symphony of fate and ambition. In a stark, metal-lined war room aboard a colossal orbital command vessel, the air pulsed with tension. General Victor Thorne stood before an expansive digital map of the solar system, his steely gaze fixed on shifting red markers that symbolized potential threats. Every scar on his weathered face told a story of battles fought and personal losses endured, a relentless testament to the cost of war. Thorne's voice, deep and measured, cut through the murmurs of anxious officers. "We cannot afford to be paralyzed by uncertainty," he declared, each word deliberate and weighted with conviction. His presence commanded the room, a living embodiment of a military doctrine forged in the crucible of past tragedies. For him, the alien signals were not abstract riddles, but ominous clarion calls demanding a robust, immediate response. In private moments away from the scrutinizing eyes of his staff, Thorne wrestled with the ghosts of his past. In the solitude of his dimly lit quarters, he stared at a faded photograph of a long-lost comrade, the silent reminder of promises made and broken. The memory was a constant specter, fueling his distrust for the unknown and compelling him to arm humanity against any perceived threat. "If we do not act, history will repeat itself," he murmured to the empty room, a vow etched in the scars of his soul. The command vessel buzzed with high-stakes briefings as military strategists and intelligence officers debated the appropriate course of action. In one such session, Thorne met with a council of advisors. The air was thick with urgency as one officer reported. "The signals are evolving. There is a pattern to the chaos, a deliberate provocation." Thorne's eyes narrowed. "Provocations demand preemption," he stated firmly, his tone brooking no dissent. His words resonated like a battle drum, stirring a faction of officers who believed in the necessity of a swift military response. Yet, amid the fervor of militant resolve, a countercurrent began to form. Across the vast network of human colonies, voices advocating for cautious scientific inquiry and diplomacy echoed in hushed conference rooms and impassioned public forums. The populace, already fractured by years of conflict and shifting allegiances, now found themselves at a crossroads. On one side stood General Thorne, a symbol of unyielding strength and a promise of security through force. On the other, proponents of exploration and understanding, champions of a future where knowledge might bridge the divides. During a confidential meeting with senior military advisors, Thorne's rhetoric took on an almost somber quality. Every signal, every taunt from the void. It is as if the universe mocks our indecision. We must protect humanity not only from external threats, but from the peril of our own inaction. His declaration, though resolute, carried the undercurrent of a man burdened by loss, his hardened exterior concealing the personal cost of every military victory. As debates raged in the corridors of power, Thorne's influence grew, deepening the rift between factions. In a heated exchange with a representative of the scientific community, he argued, Curiosity without security is a luxury we cannot afford. Our survival depends on a firm hand, a decisive stand against what we do not understand. The representative's retort, gentle yet unyielding, reminded him. But without inquiry, we surrender the chance to truly comprehend and harness the unknown. Their words clashed like opposing forces, a microcosm of the ideological battle tearing through humanity's ranks. In that charged atmosphere of conflicting loyalties, the general's steely resolve remained unshaken. He recognized that his call for decisive action might divide the very people he sought to protect. Yet, as he surveyed the sprawling battle maps and listened to the clamor of dissent, Thorne knew that inaction was a far greater enemy. The chasm between militaristic pragmatism and scientific curiosity widened with every passing moment, setting the stage for a confrontation that would not only test the limits of human unity, but also define the fate of a civilization standing at the precipice of cosmic discovery. Thus, amidst the swirling debates and stark reminders of past grief, General Victor Thorne prepared to lead humanity into an uncertain future, undaunted by the cost of loyalty and resolute in the belief that only a firm hand could steer them through the uncharted dark. Dr. Eliana Cross moved through the narrow airlock hatch of the research vessel Nova Endeavor with measured purpose, her boots clicking softly against the polished alloy deck. The scent of ozone and recycled air filled her lungs as she crossed into the ship's dimly lit corridor. Around her, the crew prepared for departure, each step echoing the same mixture of trepidation and exhilaration that pulsed through her veins. Status report. Eliana called to Chief Engineer Malik Su, who was crouched before a bank of diagnostics consoles. His wiry frame was hunched in concentration, eyes flicking over lines of code and sensor readouts. All systems green, Malik replied without looking up. Propulsion, life support, nav ready to punch through the asteroid belt at your command. Eliana nodded, feeling the familiar surge of adrenaline. Ahead, Captain Ivo Rahl stood at the bridge's viewport, arms crossed against the ambient hum of the ship's engines. The stars beyond were crisp pinpoints in the black, but she knew the void ahead was anything but empty. Once aboard, the bridge came alive in a low murmur of activity. Tessa Navarro, the ship's communications officer, was already decoding the latest transmission from Mars Command. Signals remained stable, she reported, her voice steady despite the tension. Coordinates lock in. Kuiper belt approach in 15 minutes. Eliana crossed to the viewport. Through the glass, the solar system's outer reaches stretched into infinity, an ocean of ice and shadow punctuated by drifting comets. The Nova Endeavor slipped past the last wisps of Neptune's magnetosphere, its hull buffeted by micrometeoroids that flared like distant fireworks. As they punched deeper into trans-Neptunian space, the crew fell into a solemn hush. Conversations became whispers, broken only by the occasional beep of instrumentation. Eliana felt the weight of the mission settle upon her shoulders. They were the first humans in centuries to venture into this forsaken region, seeking answers buried beneath millennia of cosmic dust. Visual sensors picking up something, Captain Rahl announced, his tone sharp with anticipation. The bridge lights dimmed as the view ahead coalesced from static into shape, a colossal silhouette drifting in the black. It was impossible to discern scale at first, but as the Nova Endeavor crept closer, the outline resolved into the hulking form of a warship, its hull scarred and pitted by time. Eliana's breath caught. "Adjust approach vector," she ordered, voice barely above a whisper. Every fiber of her being thrummed with a mixture of dread and awe. The ancient vessel hung motionless, as though waiting for them, its broken antennas reaching skyward like skeletal fingers. Sensors hummed, relaying readings of residual power surges and faint electromagnetic pulses. Malik tapped furiously at his console. Energy signatures are off the charts, definitely not natural phenomena. This thing was built, and it was built to last. Captain Rahl's jaw clenched. Salvage protocol or standby for extraction? Eliana hesitated only a heartbeat before replying. Standby. I want to see it. Document everything before we disturb a single panel. Her gaze remained fixed on the looming relic, its silent majesty casting a spell over the bridge. Moments stretched into minutes as the Nova Endeavor coasted alongside the derelict warship. Then, Without warning, a fragment of debris drifted past the viewport, a chunk of twisted metal embossed with faded markings, unmistakably human in origin. Eliana reached out, fingertips ghosting the glass as if she could touch the past itself. "We found our answer," she murmured, voice thick with wonder. Around her, the bridge crew exchanged stunned glances. In the hush that followed, the enormity of their discovery settled like cosmic dust into every corner of the ship. And there, against the infinite backdrop of the Kuiper Belt, the lost Armada began to stir, its awakening echoing across time, calling humanity toward a destiny none could yet fathom. Deep within the unyielding silence of the Kuiper Belt, where icy remnants of ancient worlds floated like forgotten relics, something extraordinary stirred. The Nova Endeavour remained tethered in a cautious orbit around the derelict warship, its sensors now locked onto a series of startling energy fluctuations that pulsed with deliberate rhythm. Eliana Cross, at the helm of Discovery, felt the weight of anticipation as every display flickered with the possibility of revelations long obscured by time. The initial tremors of activity were subtle, a faint quiver in the hull of the ancient vessel, as though it were awakening from a slumber that had lasted eons. Malaksu's fingers danced across his console, decoding the surging patterns. "It's not just residual power," he murmured, his voice betraying a mix of excitement and apprehension. "There's an active reanimation process taking place, slow at first, but it's accelerating." On the bridge, the ambient hum of machinery gave way to a rising cadence of electronic pulses. The once inert warship began to illuminate faintly, its corroded metal panels glowing with an ethereal blue light. The transformation was mesmerizing. Shadows receded as intricate, almost organic patterns traced their way along the vessel's exterior. It was as if the ship, a relic of forgotten ambition, had been granted a final, defiant act of resurgence. Eliana's heart pounded as she recorded every detail. "This is no accident," she whispered, captivated by the sight. The illumination spread like a waking dream across the ship's surface, slowly revealing the intricate designs of an era when human engineering had bordered on the mystical. Each glowing contour told a story of battles fought and secrets enshrined, a legacy embedded in steel and circuitry. Outside, the cold vastness of space bore silent witness to the spectacle. A surge of electromagnetic energy radiated from the awakening Armada, rippling outward in a cosmic ballet that disturbed the stillness of the void. The Nova Endeavour shuddered under the force of the emerging energies, its crew held in rapt silence as they absorbed the gravity of the moment. Amid the unfolding wonder, Captain Ivo Rahl's steady voice broke the reverie. "Maintain position. Document every change. We are witnessing the revival of an entire fleet." His command, measured and resolute, was a stark contrast to the unbridled marvel that danced in the eyes of every crew member. As the energy signatures intensified, the ship's dormant systems flickered to life. Once silent communication arrays began to emit garbled transmissions, and navigational instruments struggled to recalibrate in response to the erratic power surges. The ancient warship was not simply awakening. It was reasserting itself as a force, a long-forgotten entity with its own will. Eliana moved to the main console, her gaze never leaving the spectral glow that now defined the relic. "There's a pattern emerging," she noted, her voice a blend of scientific inquiry and poetic wonder. "It's as if the ship is broadcasting a final message, a coded narrative of its creators and their ambitions." The revelation was both humbling and exhilarating, a reminder that the boundaries between past and present were thinner than anyone had ever imagined. In that charged moment, as the ship pulsed with renewed vigor against the backdrop of an infinite, starlit expanse, the lost Armada began its silent chorus. The awakening was not a harbinger of destruction, but a clarion call to those brave enough to unravel its mysteries. Every pulse of light and every ripple of energy served as an invitation, a summons to explore the labyrinth of history encoded within its being. And so, beneath the eternal watch of distant galaxies, the ancient warship stirred from its ageless slumber, setting in motion a cascade of events that would forever alter the course of humanity's destiny. The cosmos, with all its enigmatic splendor, had just revealed another of its secrets, and there was no turning back. Aboard the flagship Aurora's Resolve, the air was thick with tension as the destinies of two worlds converged. In a vast, echoing conference hall bathed in the cool luminescence of starlight filtering through panoramic windows, Dr. Eliana Cross and General Victor Thorne faced each other for the first time in person. The room, filled with officers and scientists alike, seemed to hold its breath, as if the cosmos itself awaited the outcome of their encounter. Eliana's eyes shimmered with quiet determination as she addressed the assembly. "We stand on the brink of a discovery that transcends conflict," she said, her voice steady yet laced with urgency. "The ancient Armada before us is not merely a relic of the past. It is a key to our future. We must seek to understand, not to destroy." Her words, gentle yet impassioned, echoed off the metallic walls, stirring a ripple of murmurs among those present. General Thorne, his presence as formidable as the warship looming outside the viewport, responded with a measured, commanding tone. "Understanding is a luxury we cannot afford when faced with threats beyond our control," he declared. His gaze swept across the room, challenging every scientist and officer to reckon with the hard realities of defense. History has taught us that caution in the face of the unknown is often the first line of survival. We must prepare for confrontation, not inquiry. The clash of ideologies was palpable, a microcosm of the broader schism tearing through humanity's ranks. On one side, the luminous promise of knowledge and reconciliation beckoned. On the other, the hardened shield of military might and past sorrows loomed large. As the debate intensified, heated exchanges broke out among the gathered leaders. Scientific projections and tactical diagrams flickered on holographic displays, mapping out potential scenarios that ranged from peaceful integration to outright war. In a heated exchange near the command dais, one of Thorne's trusted aides leaned forward. "General, if we delay action, the enemy's taunts may escalate into an all-out assault. We cannot ignore the warnings." Thorne's jaw tightened as he replied, "Our inaction may be our undoing if we underestimate the threat. Curiosity is admirable, but not at the expense of our safety." Eliana stepped forward, her gaze never faltering. "General, with all due respect, fear must not dictate our course. This is not an act of aggression. It is a message, one that implores us to look inward, to reconcile our fractured legacy and learn from the echoes of our past." Her words resonated with a quiet force that belied her gentle demeanor, sparking a momentary silence that bridged the gulf between the two leaders. Outside, the ancient warship continued its awakening, its hull pulsating with a rhythm that paralleled the heated cadence of the debate inside. The ship's reactivation had already set in motion subtle tremors across the fleet, a cosmic warning that both sides felt but interpreted in starkly different ways. The tension mounted as both camps realized that the decision reached in this room could dictate humanity's fate. Thorne's eyes, hardened by years of loss and battle, finally softened ever so slightly. "Perhaps," he conceded, his voice low and contemplative, "there is merit in understanding before we act. But we must remain vigilant. Knowledge without preparedness can be as dangerous as ignorance." A dialogue, both bitter and beautiful, unfolded in the charged silence that followed. In that crucible of conflicting visions, it became clear that every step forward required balancing the light of inquiry with the shadow of caution. Each leader's conviction, forged in the fires of their respective journeys, illuminated the fragile bridge that spanned the gap between hope and survival. As the meeting drew to a close, the atmosphere remained fraught with uncertainty. Yet, for a brief, shimmering moment, the collision of ideologies had sparked a dialogue, a tentative, flickering possibility that perhaps the heart of humanity could beat as one, harmonizing the discord between science and defense. Outside the window, the ancient vessel's glow intensified, a silent witness to the unfolding destiny of a civilization poised on the edge of revelation and ruin. In the quiet aftermath of a tense confrontation, the cold expanse of space seemed to pause, as if the universe itself awaited the unveiling of its deepest secrets. Aboard the Novo Endeavor, the crew gathered in the observation chamber, a circular room dominated by a vast, transparent dome through which the stars shimmered like scattered diamonds. The ancient warship, now fully awakened, loomed silently outside, its once muted contours transformed into a vibrant tapestry of light and shadow. Dr. Eliana Cross stood before a holographic display that pulsed with decoded data streams, a digital mosaic of the warship's storied past. As she traced her finger along the undulating graphs and cryptic symbols, fragments of history began to coalesce. The signals, which had once seemed like abstract taunts from a bygone era, now formed a coherent narrative. They spoke of an ancient civilization that had foreseen its own downfall, leaving behind a message for future generations, a warning laced with hope. Eliana's voice trembled with a mixture of awe and solemnity as she explained, "These aren't random echoes. They're a chronicle of triumphs and tragedies, of a people who dared to dream and faced inevitable collapse. Their legacy is etched in every line of code, every energy pulse emanating from this vessel." Around her, the crew absorbed the revelation in hushed silence, each member confronting the magnitude of what was unfolding. In a quiet corner of the chamber, General Victor Thorne listened with guarded intensity. His stoic exterior belied the inner conflict stirred by Eliana's discovery. The general's mind, hardened by years of strategic combat and loss, now grappled with the notion that understanding the past might forge a path to salvation. The revelation challenged his long-held belief in preemptive might, offering instead the possibility that wisdom and unity could arise from the fragments of history. As the holographic images shifted, revealing detailed schematics of the ancient vessel and its embedded archives, a startling truth emerged. The Armada was not solely a relic of warfare, but also a repository of human ingenuity and resilience. Records hinted at experiments in sustainable energy, diplomatic treaties forged with unknown entities, and philosophies that celebrated the interconnectedness of all life. The warship had been built not just for combat, but as a beacon of hope, a guide left behind by forebearers who had strived for a future where knowledge would triumph over conflict. A ripple of realization swept through the assembled scientists and officers. "This vessel," Eliana continued, "is a mirror reflecting our own potential, a reminder that our struggles, our conflicts, are part of a larger tapestry of existence. It beckons us to learn from our past mistakes and to harness our shared history as a foundation for a more unified tomorrow." Her words resonated deeply, stirring emotions that transcended the rigid divisions of ideology. Outside, the ancient warship's luminescence intensified, as if affirming the promise of renewal embedded in its message. The soft hum of its reactivated systems merged with the collective heartbeat of the crew, each pulse a testament to the possibility of redemption. In that charged moment, the boundaries between science and strategy, between hope and pragmatism, began to blur. General Thorne, his gaze fixed on the vibrant interplay of light and information, allowed himself a rare moment of vulnerability. "We have been so consumed by the fear of what we do not understand," he murmured, his tone reflective and subdued, "that perhaps we forgot to see the lessons hidden within it." The silence that followed was heavy with the promise of change, a silent pact between opposing forces, united in their quest for truth. As the revelation settled into the fabric of the crew's consciousness, the ancient warship's message became more than a historical record. It transformed into a catalyst for introspection, a call to mend the fractures that had long divided humanity. In the glow of newfound understanding, the Nova Endeavor and its crew prepared to embark on the next phase of their journey, armed with the knowledge that the past, with all its trials and triumphs, held the key to shaping a future defined by unity rather than discord. The cosmos, vast and eternal, bore witness to this quiet revolution, a turning point where revelations from a long-forgotten age ignited the spark of hope, urging humanity to rise above its divisions and embrace a destiny written in the stars. In the silent aftermath of revelation and conflict, the Nova Endeavor drifted gracefully in the vastness of space, a symbol of humanity's fragile yet persistent hope. The bridge, once charged with urgent debates and clashing ideologies, now hummed with a reflective calm. Outside, the ancient warship, its surface now a mosaic of soft, pulsating light, stood as a monument to both the triumphs and missteps of a bygone era. Its message, clear and resonant, had woven together disparate voices into a tentative harmony. Dr. Eliana Cross stood at the viewport, her eyes tracing the interplay of starlight and the warship's renewed glow. In that luminous dance, she saw the promise of reconciliation and the seeds of a unified future. "We've been given a rare chance," she murmured to herself, a mixture of awe and determination threading her voice. "A chance to mend what was broken and to build upon the wisdom of our ancestors." Across the deck, General Victor Thorne observed the stirring scene with a softened gaze. The weight of past losses still lingered, but in the quiet aftermath of revelations, he recognized that strength was not solely forged in battle. It also blossomed in understanding. Standing beside a digital map that charted not only strategic points, but also the pulsating energy of human hope, Thorne allowed a rare moment of introspection. "Perhaps it's time we learned that defense and discovery are not enemies, but two halves of the same coin," he conceded quietly. In a historic broadcast that rippled across human colonies, from the bustling cities on Earth to the far-flung orbital habitats, the leaders of this newfound alliance addressed the people. Dr. Cross, with her unmistakable blend of scientific curiosity and heartfelt resolve, explained the significance of the ancient Armada. "This relic of our past," she declared, "is not a harbinger of destruction, but a beacon urging us to embrace our shared legacy. It teaches us that our future lies not in division, but in unity." Her words found echoes in the hearts of many. On distant worlds, communities once divided by fear and ideology began to bridge gaps, exchanging knowledge and forging collaborations. The message from the warship had awakened not just an ancient fleet, but also a dormant spirit of collective resilience and hope. The Nova Endeavor set its course toward a rendezvous point, a neutral assembly station orbiting a vibrant, life-giving star. Here, representatives from all human colonies gathered to craft a new manifesto, one that balanced the cautious pragmatism of defense with the boundless wonder of discovery. In conference halls and virtual forums alike, ideas flowed as freely as the cosmic winds, each conversation a stepping stone toward a future reimagined. As preparations for this grand assembly unfolded, the ancient vessel continued its silent vigil, its glow a constant reminder of the lessons etched in time. The once cold, indifferent void now pulsed with the warmth of shared purpose, a collective heartbeat that echoed across the solar system. In that moment of serene unity, as humanity reached out to grasp its destiny, the horizon of possibility stretched wide and unbroken. The scars of the past had not vanished, but they now served as guides, lighting the path to a tomorrow where every voice mattered and every discovery brought them closer together. And so, beneath the boundless canopy of stars, humanity embarked on a new chapter, a journey not defined by conflict or fear, but by hope, curiosity, and the courage to embrace the unknown. With the echoes of ancient wisdom resonating in their hearts, they set forth into the dawn of a future replete with promise and wonder.